Hello everyone, welcome back to the Super Academical channel with me. My name is Fabiano, and today I'm going to talk about myths, mythology, Greek mythology for specifically. Most right, talk about the Hesiodus, Theogony, and Labor and Days, and his most known works, in which he develops his narration of the origin of the gods, of the theogony. Theo is God, goni comes from beginning, beginning of the gods, and birth of the gods, rising of the gods, something like that. And Labor Days are works as a worker that he explains why the human being must work and endure working, the laboring during his life to provide his survival. Much like a kind of a curse that was cast from the gods, since the mankind tried to uh, deceive the gods for doing something uh, that were against the gods. Well, it's very similar, yeah, to the Bible origin story, Genesis, when God provides the paradise, the heaven, and uh, says that they cannot eat from the apple, from the fruits, forbidden fruits, and they end up eating. So the idea is that in these narrations, the mythology, narrations, uh, the 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 author tries to uh, tell something that's moral, a teaching of some kind about human behavior, human condition, and in this attempt, it provides us the basis, the foundation for our culture. Especially, one thing that interests me the most is the relation between the myths and the heroes. The heroes and the need for the heroes to be used as models for us to mirror, for us to inspire, to achieve that kind of heroism, that kind of behavior that reflects our wishes to be better as humans, approaching us to demigods or sort of gods. Well, that's just like a opening for the subject. I'd like to ask you to subscribe the channel, and if you like the video, please hit the like and share the video with friends or people that might be interested with this in this kind of subject, and that I will talk about from now on in English. There are other videos in Portuguese if you like, if you can understand or use subtitles, I don't know. But in English, just beginning now, and it'd be my pleasure to attend, to provide more videos uh, about these matters, about these subjects, about mythology, philosophy, sociology, anthropology, and communication, culture industry, and entertainment industry also. And let's go. Uh, First, uh, the introduction of the book calls attention for the the environment in which Isildo lived. It was a very field, very country environment. Uh, a man belonging to the land, man belonging to the countryside, and this kind of environment made Isildo that had a brother that disputed with him the heritage of the family, provided him two great influences. And one, he wanted to narrate the origin of the gods in a way that anyone could understand, and the other, he narrates about work, about labor, the importance of labor for survival and for honor, because his brother didn't want to work too much. Some kind of advice for his brother to be a better worker. You know. So at the time of Hesíodo, it's called the archaic period in the Greek society. It was like after the Homer period, the period, the classical period, known as known for the narration of the Odysseus, the Odysseus and the Achilles adventures in the Troy War, the Troy War. So this time is different, and it's very interesting that in the first text, that's called Theogony, he explains that in the beginning, first he just calls the muses to inspire him. It's very common for writers, for narrators in that time to call for the muse. That's something that even us writers nowadays we call, not in a prayer for muses, but we call for inspiration somehow. He Hesíodo, he calls attention that in the beginning there was nothingness, the chaos of the universe, and then comes the first gods. That should be like gods of nature, the heaven, the sky, and the earth, like Gaia. Gaia is the earth, the land, and what's his name? Uranus. Uranus is the sky, and the first two gods after the chaos. Like in this mythology, is narrated that these gods, from their union and for their conflicts, comes to be the rest of the universe. So Uranus and Gaia, they form together the time. That's Kronos. Kronos, that's like the first titan, the first giant god that was created with the union, the marriage between the sky and the land and the earth. And Kronos, he attacks, and he assaults Uranus, cutting off his penis, and condemned him to live in the sky's top. And by that kind of action, you begin to understand that the tragic and the birth of things comes together in Greek mythology and also in our psychic construction along the history of the human condition and development. So the tragical and violent things always comes together with the the love and the understanding, as like a complementary thing that comes to be. So after that, it just is a succeed, um, and comes a lot of one thing after another. Uh, Comes a line, a line of happenings, of facts that happens that uh, merges the, the gods to transform their origin, the origin from uh, gods of nature, from titans, giants, to gods that are like men in appearance, and this kind of gods, gods that look like men, create also the mankind, the humanity. Uh, the last kinds of gods, like Zeus, Apollos, uh, um, Athena, and Hades, and Poseidon. These kind of gods are the last gods, and after that, in the Greek mythology, there are the union, the relation between gods and humans that produce demigods like Hercules, Aquilus, um, Perseus, and also I'm forgetting something. I'm forgetting someone. And this kind of heroes and demigods. There are heroes most used in the entertainment industry, being like heroes, like in this last Thor movie, when there is the appearance of Zeus and Hercules and other Greek gods being like uh, being identified as future possible heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's like the bridge that I'd like to put, get from this mythology, as myths, to the use of heroes as examples today for us, examples of behavior, examples of action, examples of possibilities of being, of getting better as humans. Uh, unfortunately, unfortunately, sorry, the use of these heroes as mere products of the media industry uh, kind of takes off this aura, this halo of possibility of inspire people to be better. And sometimes it still works, but I think that um, it lacks of um, it lacks of legitimacy, lacks a part of a good thing that can be transferred for, from the products, the media product, to us as audience. And we get inspired by individually by these stories like the Greek mythology, narrations that inspired many things in our civilizations. But since they are only products, and the fictional products, they are like uh, forgotten very quickly for new products that comes, and that things I think that it makes the message get poor, and the message get poor because of that. And I wish that it could be more lasting, more lasting relation between the message of these movies, superhero movies, with us, like in examples for us. The same way that the Greek gods, the Greek myths could inspire people to do better, to behave better, even in a violent way, but inspired to be courageous, inspired to be honest, inspired to something like that. In the continuation of the narration, Hesiodus comes from the gods to the sin, like as he doesn't use the word sin, but it's like the attempts of men, of mankind, to deceive the gods, Zeus most specifically, with offer to him that was supposed to be like a cattle, some kind of ox, cow, but one of the other gods, Prometheus, teaches the humans to deceive the Zeus using a false form with just the grease and bones of the beast. And of course Zeus found out about this deceiving, and he said that Prometheus should be chained to the in a high mountain, and his liver should be eaten by an eagle every day, and the liver would be regenerate during the night, so the next day the eagle would eat the liver again, his liver again. So it's like a eternal suffering of some kind. Funny, but Zeus sent Hercules to save Prometheus afterwards. This kind of a ambiguity as conflict in the god's behavior, just like humans' behavior. And for that, Zeus also condemned, also punished mankind with a presents, gifts that was sent with the first woman, a woman that was created by the gods to make men do things that men should do, just like in the Bible with Adam and Eve, like that. Just like that, Eve will be the woman that will be tempted by the snake in the paradise, in the Eden. So the first woman, this woman in this narration, is labors and days, is called Pandora. You probably must have heard the name Pandora, like the Pandora box. And Pandora goes to the man, and the man fall in love with Pandora, and she carries the gift, the present of the gods, that is a box, vessel, some kind that she is told to not open the box, not look inside the box. But of course, just like the apple in the Eden, she opens the box, and from the box comes all the evil things in the world. Like, all bad things comes from the opening of that box by Pandora, and she just was able to hold inside the box the hope. Uh, Hope is seen as a bad thing too, because in Greek culture, be hopeful of some kind is also misleading and can put you to believe something that's not possible. So you delude yourself about what can happen. So that's why hope is inside the box too. But hope is kept inside the box to give hope to men. And with all the bad things, the diseases, death, mortality, and work, and the need for survival, need for working, that's what Isildur is narrating, is creating his narration, especially for his brother that didn't want to work. And this justification of the needing of work, the need of work, kind of teach the humans, the mankind, that work is important, work is necessary, work uh, uh, has a place in the life. Funny that it blames, like kind of blames woman, uh, women for the need of work, but that's I think is the patriarchal mind, mentality that puts this kind of guilt upon the women, and that's not important here. The important thing is to recognize that this kind of narration, this kind of story, serves the purpose and serves the need of us to have some kind of meaning in the actions, meaning in our behaviors, meaning in the necessity, the need of being good and work and get try to achieve the goals with dedication. That's the teaching about from the teaching from the story, the narration, works and days. So for finishing this video, these two narrations, Theogony and Labors and Days, are very important in our culture. I recommend that you read. It's a classic, ancient text that you can find for free in the internet. And by reading, I recommend that you also look as a reference, a place of refer, of example for actions, and also try to see in the entertainment media and entertainment products like movies, songs, TV series, and books, literature, and games, all sort of things that entertain us. This kind of message too that you can appropriate and you can take for yourself and behave accordingly to the message, like what the message try to pass on to us, so we can move on, we can progress as species. And also I recommend the superhero movies as an example of that. I'll try to keep in this kind of subject for now, and put your comments and say what you think about that. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like, hit the bell for notifications, and see you next video.